The night was quiet in the New Jersey suburb, only the sound of crickets filling the air. But inside the small backyard of a modest home, a scream shattered the silence. "Dad, stop! Please!" Lily cried, her voice trembling with fear. Jack's rough hands were wrapped around his 15-year-old daughter's neck. His eyes were bloodshot, his breath stinking of whiskey, rage making him unrecognizable. Emily, standing only a few feet away, froze for a split second. Her heart slammed in her chest. This wasn't the first time she had seen his violence, but this time it wasn't her. This time it was their daughter. "Jack, let her go!" she screamed, rushing forward, clawing at his arms with every ounce of strength she had. Jack turned, his face twisted, spitting words like venom. "She needs to learn who's in control. You've poisoned her against me, Emily. You've ruined everything." Lily's tiny hands tried desperately to loosen his grip. Her lips turned pale, her eyes wide in silent pleading. Emily's strength felt useless against Jack's brute force. Panic rose inside her chest like fire. A neighbor, startled by the noise, peered over the fence. "Emily, do you need me to call the police?" the old man shouted, holding his phone in the air. Emily's tears blurred her vision. "Yes, please, hurry." Jack's grip tightened for one last terrifying second before he shoved Lily to the ground. She gasped for air, coughing violently, clutching her throat. Emily dropped to her knees, pulling Lily into her arms, rocking her like when she was a baby. "You'll never take her from me." Jack roared, his voice echoing in the night before storming off into the shadows. Emily held Lily tightly, trembling. She whispered, "I won't let him hurt you again, I swear." But deep down, she didn't know how she could keep that promise. She had no money, no protection, and no power. What Emily didn't know was that fate was about to send her the most unexpected ally. A man powerful enough to shake the very ground Jack stood on. Emily Carter had not always been the trembling woman who held her daughter like a lifeline. There was a time, 12 years ago, when she believed in love. She had believed in Jack Morgan. She was 23 then, fresh out of community college, working double shifts at a diner to pay rent on a one-bedroom apartment. Jack had walked in one night, all swagger and charm, his leather jacket hanging loosely on broad shoulders, his smile disarming. He was older, almost 30, but he made her feel like she was the only woman in the room. For months, he swept her off her feet with promises of forever. He brought her roses wrapped in newspaper, whispered about the big business deals he was this close to closing. Emily wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. And when she found herself pregnant only a year into their relationship, she thought it was fate sealing their bond. But the fairy tale cracked fast. The night she told Jack she was carrying his child, he didn't hold her. He didn't even smile. Instead, he looked at her with a sharp edge in his eyes and muttered, "That's your problem, not mine." Emily had laughed nervously at first, thinking he was joking, but he wasn't. That night ended with Jack throwing her suitcase out onto the front porch. The man who once swore to protect her left her alone in the cold, belly barely beginning to swell with life. For weeks, Emily lived in shelters, clutching the ultrasound photo as her only proof that something beautiful still existed. She scrubbed toilets, waited tables, took any job she could. There were nights she went hungry, just so she could save enough for prenatal vitamins. And yet, through all of it, she never let go of the small flutter inside her. That baby, her Lily, was the reason she pushed forward. When Lily was born, Emily held her tiny daughter against her chest and whispered, "You will never feel abandoned. Not like I was." It was a promise she repeated countless times over the years. Every time Jack failed to show up for birthdays, every time he said nothing but silence. But survival came at a cost. Emily's heart carried scars no doctor could mend. Years of overwork, malnutrition, and sleepless nights left her with a weak heart condition. It was manageable most days, but stress and shock sent her body spiraling. She told no one, not even Lily. The last thing she wanted was her daughter worrying about whether her mother might collapse. Jack, meanwhile, drifted in and out like a ghost of cruelty. He showed up once when Lily was 7. Not with gifts, not with apologies, but with demands for money. He reeked of cheap whiskey and shouted that Emily owed him because she had taken everything. She had slammed the door that night, heart pounding, praying he would stay gone forever. But men like Jack never stayed gone. Now, 12 years later, he was back. Wealthier, meaner, more dangerous. Emily knew enough to understand he had his hands in dirty money, backroom deals, and debts no honest man could repay. But what cut deepest was how he looked at Lily, not as his daughter, but as leverage. Emily sat by Lily's bedside that night after the choking incident, brushing her daughter's hair back, her chest tight. She thought about the shelters, the hunger, the endless sacrifices. She had survived it all. But could she survive Jack again? She didn't know the answer. All she knew was that Jack wasn't finished, and his return would drag her into a storm even more brutal than the one that had destroyed her 12 years ago. Morning light filtered weakly through the cracked blinds of Emily Carter's modest two-bedroom rental. The house smelled faintly of instant coffee and laundry detergent, the sense of survival rather than comfort. Emily sat at the small kitchen table, her fingers wrapped around a chipped mug. She tried to hide the tremor in her hands as she watched Lily across from her, forcing down cereal with a bruised throat still marked from Jack's attack. Emily's chest tightened. Every swallow Lily took seemed like a reminder of her own helplessness. "Does it hurt, sweetheart?" Emily asked softly. Lily shook her head quickly, not wanting to worry her mother. But Emily wasn't fooled. She saw the way her daughter winced, the way her eyes flickered with fear every time the wind rattled the back door, as if Jack might burst in again. Emily's heart condition flared under stress, a dull ache spreading beneath her ribs. She pressed her palm to her chest, forcing a steady breath. She couldn't afford to collapse. Not now. Bills sat unopened on the counter. Overdue electric, rent notice, medical statement from her last hospital visit. The numbers swam in her mind, cruel reminders of how fragile their stability was. Her teaching assistant's salary barely kept them afloat. After groceries, rent, and Lily's school expenses, there was nothing left. Lawyers? Impossible. And Jack knew it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hesitant, she answered. "Mrs. Carter, this is Family Court Services. We received a petition from Mr. Jack Morgan requesting custody of your daughter, Lily. There will be a preliminary hearing in 3 weeks. You are required to attend." Emily's breath caught. Custody? Jack wanted Lily, not out of love, but as leverage. "Ma'am, did you hear me?" The voice pressed. "Yes," Emily whispered, throat dry. She hung up before her voice could crack. The room seemed to spin. Custody battles meant lawyers, court fees, exposure. She couldn't fight Jack in his world. Money, influence, intimidation. How could she? Lily noticed her mother's pale face. "Mom, what is it?" Emily forced a smile, though her lips trembled. "Nothing, baby. Finish your breakfast. We'll be late for school." But her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped her mug. At the school parking lot later, Emily hugged Lily tightly before she went inside. "Text me if you need anything," she said, scanning the street for Jack's car, even though it wasn't there. Driving away, Emily pulled over a block later, gripping the steering wheel as tears spilled down her face. She remembered every sacrifice, nights of hunger, endless jobs, all to give Lily a safe home. And now Jack threatened to rip it all away with one signature. She wiped her tears roughly. She couldn't show weakness, but the truth clawed at her. She had no allies, no money, and no plan. That night, exhaustion hit hard. After grading homework at the kitchen table, Emily felt her chest tighten again. The world blurred, her breath shallow. Panic surged. She clutched the counter, whispering to herself, "Not now, not now," until the wave passed. She looked toward Lily's bedroom door, closed but glowing faintly with the nightlight inside. The thought of leaving her daughter alone in this world tore Emily apart. She whispered a prayer into the silence. "Please, let me survive this, for her." What Emily didn't know was that the very storm threatening to destroy her would also draw in someone who had the power and the heart to change everything. And their paths were about to collide. It was Saturday morning when Emily heard the knock on the door. Sharp, impatient, the kind of knock that carried entitlement. Her stomach twisted even before she opened it. And when she did, the past 12 years of struggle and fear stood right there on her porch. Jack Morgan. He looked different, but not better. His hair was slicked back, streaked with gray at the temples. His suit screamed expensive, but the gold watch on his wrist was too flashy, the kind bought with dirty money. His grin was a mask, hiding the rage simmering underneath. And clinging to his arm was Chloe Sanders, a woman half Emily's age, perfectly styled, lips painted blood red. She smiled with the arrogance of someone who believed she had won. "Well, if it isn't my ex-wife," Jack drawled, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. His eyes roamed the modest living room with thinly veiled disgust. "You still living like this? Pathetic." Emily's heart raced. "What do you want, Jack?" He smirked, pulling Chloe closer. "What's mine? My daughter. I filed for custody. You'll be hearing from my lawyer soon." Emily's blood turned cold. She had heard the words on the phone, but hearing them from his lips was worse. He wasn't just threatening, he was savoring her fear. Chloe giggled, leaning against him. "Jack just wants what's best for Lily. Don't you think she deserves a real father, one with money, power, connections?" Emily's hands curled into fists. "A real father doesn't choke his child." The mask slipped. Jack's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening. For a moment, Emily thought he would hit her, right there in front of Chloe. But instead he laughed, low and cruel. "Careful, Emily. People might think you're hysterical again. Remember, the court doesn't take kindly to unstable mothers." Her chest burned, the old fear clawing back. He knew exactly where to stab. Her illness, her past, the times she had collapsed from stress. He would twist all of it into ammunition. "Get out," Emily said, her voice shaking but firm. Jack leaned in, his breath hot against her ear. 3 weeks. That girl will be mine, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." He straightened, tugging Chloe along as they strutted out. Chloe tossed one last glance over her shoulder, smirking. "See you in court, if you can even afford to show up." The door slammed, leaving Emily trembling. She pressed her back against the wall, sliding down until she was on the floor, gasping for air. Her heart pounded erratically, the ache sharp and merciless. She clutched her chest, whispering, "Not now, please, not now." From the hallway, Lily's small voice cut through. "Mom? What did Dad want?" Emily wiped her tears quickly, forcing herself to stand. She opened Lily's door and found her daughter curled on the bed, fear written across her young face. Emily sat beside her, stroking her hair. "Nothing you need to worry about, baby. I promise I'll protect you." But inside, Emily knew promises meant little against a man like Jack. He had money now, influence, and a venomous determination to break her. And Chloe at his side was gasoline on the fire. Emily kissed Lily's forehead, whispering words she didn't quite believe. When Lily finally drifted to sleep, Emily stared into the darkness, the weight of despair crushing her. And that's when she realized, if she didn't find help, Jack would win, and she had no idea where that help could possibly come from. 2 days after Jack's venomous visit, Emily was leaving the grocery store with a half-empty bag when she heard a familiar voice. "Emily? Oh my God, hi!" Emily froze. Turning, she saw Chloe Sanders striding toward her, heels clicking against the pavement. She looked flawless as always, designer dress, hair styled like she was heading to a magazine shoot, but her smile was syrupy sweet, too polished to be real. Emily's instinct screamed danger, but she forced politeness. "Chloe, what do you want?" Chloe clutched a bouquet of flowers and tilted her head, pretending innocence. "I just wanted to talk, woman to woman." Emily narrowed her eyes. "If this is about Jack?" "Oh no," Chloe interrupted, waving a manicured hand. "This isn't about Jack. This is about Lily. I know things have been tense, but I care about her. Honestly, I just want to help." Emily nearly laughed at the hypocrisy. The same woman who stood beside Jack as he threatened custody now claimed to care about Lily. "Help?" Emily repeated coldly. "By stealing her from me?" Chloe's smile didn't waver. "Emily, you're struggling. Everyone can see it. The bills, your health. Lily needs stability. Jack can give her that. And I can give her the mother figure she deserves." The words stabbed Emily straight in the heart. Her fists clenched, but before she could reply, Chloe placed a gentle hand on her arm. To anyone watching, it looked like compassion, but her whisper told the truth. "You don't stand a chance in court. But maybe, if you stop fighting, Jack will let you see Lily once in a while. Think about it, Emily. Sometimes surrender is survival." Emily jerked her arm away, fury burning her veins. "Stay away from me, and stay away from my daughter." Chloe stepped back, feigning hurt, her eyes shining with crocodile tears. "I was only trying to be nice." She turned and walked toward a sleek black car waiting at the curb. Before getting in, she glanced back with a smirk so quick Emily almost doubted she saw it. What Emily didn't know was that Chloe already had her phone recording the entire exchange. Later that night, Chloe would upload a carefully edited clip to social media, portraying Emily as unstable, aggressive, and unfit to be a mother. Within hours, whispers would spread through the community. Parents at Lily's school would see the video. Teachers would wonder if Lily was safe at home, and Jack would have his perfect weapon to present in court. That night, Emily noticed the stares. A fellow mother at the school drop-off avoided eye contact. The cashier at the grocery store was unusually curt. Even the principal's secretary gave her a tight, pitying smile. Emily felt the walls closing in, her chest heavy with dread. Back home, Lily scrolled through her phone and frowned. "Mom, why are people saying you yelled at Dad's girlfriend?" "Look." Emily's heart sank as she saw the video, cut to make her look hysterical while Chloe appeared calm and compassionate. The comments were cruel. "Poor Jack, stuck with a bitter ex. No wonder he wants custody. That poor little girl." Tears blurred Emily's vision. She wanted to scream the truth, but who would believe her? Jack had money, Chloe had charm, and she had nothing. She sat on the edge of her bed that night, staring at the glow of the phone screen, her reputation unraveling one comment at a time. Her heart thudded painfully. She whispered into the dark, "How can I fight them when the whole world is against me?" What Emily didn't know was that someone else had seen the video too. And for the first time, her suffering was about to catch the eye of a powerful stranger. The video of Emily and Chloe spread faster than wildfire. Within days, it wasn't just parents at Lily's school whispering, it was students too. Teenagers, cruel in their honesty, carried the gossip from classroom to cafeteria, each retelling, twisting the knife deeper. Lily Carter felt every whisper. At 15, she was already quiet, shy, and hesitant to speak up. Now she walked through the halls with her head bowed, clutching her books to her chest as though they could shield her. But the words still reached her ears. "Did you see the video? Her mom's crazy. No wonder her dad wants custody. Poor girl, I'd die if that was my mom." Lily bit the inside of her cheek, blinking hard against the tears. She would not cry in front of them. Not here. At lunch, she sat alone, picking at a sandwich she couldn't taste. Her best friend from last year had drifted away, afraid of being dragged into the drama. Even the teachers gave her looks of pity. It was suffocating. That evening, back home, Lily shut her bedroom door quietly. She pulled her pillow close and buried her face in it, finally letting the tears fall where no one could see. Her chest ached, not just from the bruise on her throat that hadn't fully healed, but from something deeper. Shame, fear, helplessness. She thought about her father, about the way his hands had closed around her neck. She could still feel it in the dark when she tried to sleep. She had nightmares, dreams of choking, of gasping for air, of Emily screaming. But when she woke up, the terror didn't leave. It stayed, lurking in the corners of her mind. Her phone buzzed. A message popped up from an unknown number. "Your mom is lying to you. Your dad loves you. He just wants you back where you belong." Lily's hands shook as she deleted it, but the words lingered. She didn't believe them. Did she? When Emily knocked gently on her door, Lily wiped her face quickly. "Come in." Emily peeked in, her eyes heavy with exhaustion, but soft with love. "How was school today?" Lily forced a smile. "Fine." Emily stepped inside, sitting at the edge of the bed. She brushed Lily's hair back, searching her face. "You don't have to protect me, baby, if kids are bothering you." "I'm fine, Mom, really." Lily cut her off, her voice a little too sharp. She regretted it instantly when she saw the hurt flicker across Emily's face. I don't want you worrying about me," Lily whispered. Emily kissed her forehead gently. "Sweetheart, worrying about you is my job. Always." When Emily left, Lily turned toward the window. The night sky stretched wide, stars faint through the city glow. She pressed her forehead against the glass, whispering to herself, "I just want it to stop. Please, God, make it stop." She didn't know how much longer she could carry the weight of her father's abuse, her mother's battles, and the cruel eyes of the world. She was only 15, but life had forced her to grow up far too soon. As she drifted into restless sleep, a thought echoed in her mind. One she would never say out loud. Maybe Dad's right. Maybe Mom can't protect me. And that seed of doubt was exactly what Jack had been waiting to plant. The week after the school whispers, Emily tried harder than ever to hold her fragile world together. She woke up before dawn, packed lunches, rushed to her job at the elementary school, and came home to grade papers late into the night. Every heartbeat felt heavier than the last, but she pushed through, because she had no choice. Friday evening, the air was crisp as Emily and Lily walked back from the bus stop, bags of groceries in hand. They laughed quietly about a TV show they planned to watch that night, trying to forget the storm cloud of Jack. For a moment, it almost felt normal. But normal never lasted long. A black SUV crawled up the street behind them. Emily noticed it in her peripheral vision. Dark windows, engine humming low. Her stomach tightened. She quickened her pace, clutching Lily's hand. "Mom, what's wrong?" Lily asked, sensing her fear. "Nothing, baby. Just stay close." They turned the corner toward their street. That's when it happened. The SUV suddenly accelerated, roaring forward. Tires screeched against asphalt. The headlights flared, blinding them. Emily's heart slammed into her ribs. She yanked Lily toward the curb, dropping the grocery bags. Cans and apples scattered across the pavement. The SUV swerved, missing them by inches, the wind from its speed whipping Emily's hair across her face. Lily screamed, stumbling to the ground. Emily threw herself over her daughter, shielding her with her body. The car didn't stop. It sped down the block and disappeared into the night. For a moment, there was only silence, broken by Lily's sobs and Emily's ragged breathing. Her chest ached fiercely, her heart hammering so fast she feared it might give out right there on the sidewalk. Mom, are you okay?" Lily's voice shook. Emily nodded, though she wasn't sure she could stand. "I'm fine. Are you hurt?" Lily shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "They tried to kill us." Emily pulled her close, whispering, "I won't let them, I promise." But deep inside, terror coiled. She knew exactly who was behind it. Jack. This wasn't random, it was a warning. Neighbors rushed outside, drawn by the sound of screeching tires. One woman helped them gather the groceries, asking if they wanted her to call the police. Emily hesitated, her throat dry. Reporting Jack never worked before. He had connections. He twisted stories, made her look unstable. Would this time be any different? "Thank you," Emily murmured, forcing a smile. "We'll be okay." But as she walked Lily home, her knees weak, Emily knew they weren't okay. Not even close. That night, she sat at the kitchen table with shaking hands, staring at the bruise forming on her arm from where she had fallen. Her phone buzzed. A message. "Next time I won't miss." No name, no number. But she didn't need one. Emily dropped the phone, her vision blurring with tears. She pressed both hands to her chest, whispering to herself, "God, please, what do I do?" Upstairs, Lily cried herself to sleep, clutching her stuffed bear. She didn't hear the sound of Emily breaking down, her sobs muffled against her trembling hands. Emily had reached her breaking point. Alone, weak, hunted, and terrified. She didn't know how much longer she could protect her daughter. What she didn't know was that the near-death encounter had been witnessed by someone unexpected. A man who would not ignore what he saw. Saturday morning came heavy with silence. Emily moved stiffly through the kitchen, replaying the terror of the black SUV in her mind. Every time she blinked, she saw headlights bearing down, Lily's scream echoing in her ears. She forced herself to smile at her daughter over breakfast, but her hands still shook as she buttered toast. She couldn't live like this, waiting for Jack's next strike, never knowing if they'd survive it. But what could she do? She had no money for lawyers, no family to lean on. Just her and Lily, two fragile souls trying to stand against a monster. That afternoon, Emily took Lily to a community charity event at the school gym. She told herself it would be safe, crowded, public. Maybe for a few hours they could pretend life was normal. The gym buzzed with activity, tables of baked goods, children's art on display, neighbors mingling. Emily exhaled, feeling some of the tension leave her body. She let Lily join friends at the crafts table and wandered toward the refreshments. That's when she noticed him. Tall, broad-shouldered, a presence that commanded attention without a single word. His dark hair was neatly cropped, his suit simple but unmistakably expensive. He moved through the crowd with quiet ease, stopping to shake hands, laugh with children, and sign autographs on napkins. Emily blinked, heart stuttering. She recognized him. Everyone did. Adrian Cole, former UFC champion, billionaire investor, a man whose face had been on countless magazine covers. What was he doing here, in their small community gym? She turned away quickly, embarrassed at even staring. Men like Adrian lived in another universe, one of power and privilege she could never touch. But fate had other plans. When she bumped into a table and nearly dropped her cup of coffee, a strong hand caught it before it spilled. "Careful there," a deep voice said. Emily looked up and froze. Adrian Cole stood inches from her, his eyes steady, his smile disarmingly kind. "Thank you," she stammered, her cheeks warming. "No problem," he said, setting the cup back on the table. "I don't think we've met. I'm Adrian." She let out a nervous laugh. "I know. I mean, everyone knows. You're you," he chuckled softly, and for the first time in days, Emily felt the tightness in her chest ease. They spoke briefly about the event, the school, Lily's art project hanging on the wall. Adrian listened intently, not like a celebrity humoring a fan, but like a man genuinely interested. But then his expression grew serious. "I couldn't help noticing you and your daughter last night," he said quietly, "on Maple Street. The SUV." Emily's blood ran cold. You saw that?" He nodded. "I was driving behind you. I saw everything. You're lucky you both weren't killed." Her hands trembled. She had prayed someone else had witnessed it, but she hadn't expected him. "I don't know what you're going through," Adrian continued, lowering his voice, "but no woman and no child should live in fear like that. If you need help, real help, I can make it happen." Emily's eyes filled with tears, a mix of relief and disbelief. For so long she had fought alone, crumbling under the weight of Jack's shadow. Now, standing before her was a man with the strength, the influence, and the will to fight back. But trust came hard. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Why would you help us? You don't even know me." Adrian's gaze didn't waver. "Because I know what it's like to want a family and have it ripped away, and I won't stand by and watch it happen to you." Emily didn't know it yet, but this meeting would change everything. And Jack Morgan had just gained an enemy far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. Jack Morgan was not a man who tolerated surprises, especially when those surprises threatened his control. The news came from Chloe, of course. She sat cross-legged on the edge of his leather sofa, scrolling gleefully through her phone. "You'll love this," she purred, though her eyes glinted with malice. She held the screen toward him. Jack snatched it, his eyes narrowing as he saw the image. Emily Carter, at the school charity event, standing beside none other than Adrian Cole, smiling faintly while her daughter showed him artwork. Jack's fist tightened around the phone until his knuckles whitened. "Adrian Cole," he muttered. "The Adrian Cole," Chloe corrected, smirking. "Billionaire, UFC champion, investor, and apparently your ex-wife's new friend." Jack hurled the phone across the room, where it shattered against the wall. Chloe flinched, but her smile remained. She enjoyed watching him lose control. It gave her power. "She's pathetic," Jack roared, pacing. "She's supposed to be scared, weak, alone, and now she's parading around with him?" He slammed his fist into the wall, the sound echoing through the apartment. "She thinks this changes something? No. No one steals my daughter from me. Not Emily, not some washed-up fighter." Chloe rose gracefully, circling him like a cat. "Careful, Jack. Adrian Cole isn't just some fighter. He's untouchable. Money, lawyers, influence. If he decides to help Emily, you could lose." Jack grabbed her wrist suddenly, pulling her close. His eyes burned with fury. "Nobody makes me lose. Nobody." Chloe's confident mask cracked for a moment, fear flickering across her face. But Jack released her just as quickly, shoving her away. He stormed to his desk, pulling out a drawer filled with files, receipts, and photographs. Among them were surveillance shots of Emily and Lily, grainy but clear enough. He slapped one onto the desk, Emily's face staring back at him. "She doesn't get to win," he growled. "I'll drag her name through the mud. I'll break her down piece by piece until she begs me to take Lily away. Adrian Cole can't protect her from what's coming." Chloe folded her arms, amused but wary. "Then what exactly is coming?" Jack leaned back, his grin cold and dangerous. An accident wasn't enough. Time to make her look unfit. Crazy, sick. Courts love that. A mother who can't handle stress? A mother with a weak heart? She won't stand a chance. Chloe arched an eyebrow. "You're going to exploit her health condition?" Jack smirked. "I already have the medical records. All it takes is one collapse in public, one video of her gasping for breath, and the world will believe she's incapable of raising Lily." Chloe tilted her head. "And if Adrian gets in the way?" Jack's grin widened. "Then Adrian will learn the same lesson Emily did 12 years ago. Everything she loves belongs to me." He poured himself a drink, his hands steady despite the storm raging inside. His reflection in the glass looked older, meaner, but no less determined. Jack raised the glass to his lips, whispering, "Enjoy your moment, Emily, because soon you'll be crawling back, and this time I won't let you go." What Jack didn't know was that Adrian Cole had already decided to protect Emily at any cost, and the battle lines were being drawn. Sunday afternoon should have been peaceful. Emily tried to make it so, cooking Lily's favorite spaghetti, playing soft music in the kitchen, pretending for a few hours that life was normal. But peace never lasted long, with Jack lurking in the shadows. The phone rang just as they sat down to eat. Emily glanced at the caller ID. Her stomach dropped. "Jack." She hesitated, but Lily's eyes flicked to the phone. Curiosity, longing, and dread all tangled on her face. "Mom, it's Dad. Can I talk to him?" Emily froze. Every instinct screamed no, but she saw the desperation in Lily's eyes. The girl still wanted to believe her father could love her. Reluctantly, Emily slid the phone across the table. Only for a minute. Lily pressed it to her ear. "Hi, Dad." Jack's voice came smooth, calm, dripping with false warmth. "Hey, Princess. I've missed you so much. Are you okay? Has your mom been treating you right?" Lily bit her lip. "I'm fine. We're fine." "That's not what I heard," Jack said softly. "People are saying your mom yells a lot, that she's sick, that she can't handle things. Is that true?" "No," Lily said quickly, her eyes darting toward Emily. She's okay," Jack chuckled. "Sweetheart, you don't have to protect her. I know she tries, but she's weak. You saw it the other night, didn't you? When she couldn't stop me?" Lily's throat tightened. She remembered the choking, her mother clawing helplessly at Jack's arms. Tears stung her eyes. Jack pressed on. "I'm not the bad guy here. I'm your father. I love you. I can give you everything. Nice clothes, a car when you're old enough, vacations. Doesn't that sound better than watching your mom struggle every day?" Lily's silence was answer enough. Her heart wanted to believe him, but her memory screamed otherwise. "Tell me something, Princess," Jack whispered, lowering his voice like it was their secret. "Do you feel safe with her, or are you scared she'll collapse one day and leave you all alone?" Lily's chest ached. She had seen Emily clutch her heart, pale and trembling. She had wondered if her mother's body could withstand the constant stress. She hated herself for doubting, but Jack's words dug deep into the cracks of her fear. Emily finally reached across the table, taking the phone. "That's enough, Jack." Her voice trembled with controlled rage. "You don't get to manipulate her." Jack's tone shifted instantly, sharp and venomous. "You can't keep her from me forever, Emily. She's mine. She'll realize it soon enough." Emily ended the call, slamming the phone down. Her hands shook as she tried to steady her breathing. Lily sat frozen, staring at her plate. Emily reached for her, but Lily pulled back. "Mom, is it true? Are you sick?" Emily's heart shattered. She had hidden her condition for years, but Jack had planted the seed of doubt perfectly. "I'm fine, baby," she whispered, forcing a smile. "Don't listen to him. He lies." But Lily's eyes glistened with tears. The doubt had taken root. That night, Emily found her daughter crying quietly in bed, clutching her teddy bear. She stroked her hair, whispering reassurances. But inside, Emily felt the walls closing in. Jack wasn't just attacking her. He was poisoning the one bond that kept her alive. And if Jack succeeded in turning Lily against her, Emily knew she might lose more than custody. She might lose her daughter's heart forever. The following week, Emily braced herself for another ordinary school day. She clutched Lily's hand as they walked toward the front doors of the high school, smiling at other parents, though her heart still raced from sleepless nights. But Jack had been waiting. He stood at the top of the steps like a predator staking his territory, a smug grin plastered on his face. Dressed in another expensive suit, he looked more like a businessman than a father. Chloe lingered at his side, recording with her phone, her smile sharp as a knife. Emily's steps faltered. "Lily, stay behind me," she whispered. Jack's voice boomed across the courtyard. "Well, look who it is, my ex-wife, still dragging our daughter around like some broken doll." Heads turned. Parents, students, even teachers paused mid-conversation. Emily felt heat rush to her face. She wanted to disappear, but Jack thrived under the attention. "You think you can hide her from me?" Jack sneered, pointing at Emily. "This woman is sick, weak. She's collapsing in her kitchen while pretending to be a mother." Emily's breath caught. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chloe zoomed in with her phone camera, catching every word, every flicker of shame on Emily's face. "That's not true," Emily shouted, her voice cracking. "I've raised Lily alone for 12 years. She's safe with me." Jack laughed coldly. "Safe? Everyone saw the video. You screaming in public, losing control. Do you really want your kids around a woman who can't keep herself together?" He turned, addressing the crowd. "Ask yourselves, would you trust her with your child?" Whispers spread like wildfire. Emily saw the pitying looks, the doubt etched into every face. Her chest tightened, her heart pounding erratically. She pressed a hand against her ribs, fighting the urge to collapse. Lily clung to her arm, her eyes wide with terror. "Mom, let's go," she whispered, tugging at her sleeve. But Jack wasn't finished. He stepped closer, his voice dropping low enough only Emily could hear. "This is just the beginning. Every time you walk outside, I'll be here. Every weakness, every flaw, you'll watch me use it against you until she's mine." Emily's knees trembled. She wanted to scream, to fight, but her body betrayed her. The stress, the humiliation, the sheer weight of his cruelty pressed down until black spots danced in her vision. Suddenly, her chest seized. She gasped, clutching her heart as pain ripped through her body. "Mom?" Lily screamed, catching her as she staggered. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Teachers rushed forward, but Chloe's camera never wavered. She captured it all. Emily on her knees, Lily crying beside her, the perfect image of a mother collapsing under pressure. Jack leaned down, his smile icy. "See? Exactly what I told them. You can't even stand on your own 2 feet." Emily's world blurred, sound muffled by the roar of her heartbeat. She felt herself slipping, her body heavy, her breath shallow. For one terrifying moment, she thought this might be the end. Right here, in front of her daughter, in front of everyone. But through the chaos, one thought screamed louder than the pain. "I can't let him win. Not like this." Emily forced herself to stay conscious, clutching Lily's trembling hand as the world tilted around her. And in that moment of public collapse, Jack believed he had won, unaware that his cruelty had been witnessed by someone who would not let Emily fall alone. The world tilted as Emily clung to Lily's hand, fighting to stay conscious. Pain pulsed through her chest like a drumbeat, every breath shallow and ragged. Around her, voices rose in panic. Students stared, parents whispered, and Chloe's phone recorded everything. Jack stood above her, smug and unbothered. "Pathetic," he muttered, shaking his head. "And you expect people to believe you can raise a child?" Then another voice cut through the chaos, low, firm, commanding. "Back away from her." Jack turned, startled. The crowd parted as Adrian Cole strode forward, his presence swallowing the courtyard whole. He wasn't dressed for a fight, just a plain jacket and jeans, but the quiet power in his stance silenced everyone. Emily blinked, dazed, hardly believing what she saw. Adrian knelt beside her, his hand gentle but steady as he supported her back. "Easy," he said softly. "Breathe with me, in and out. I've got you." Emily tried to protest, embarrassed by her weakness, but the steadiness in his voice anchored her. Lily clung to his arm, relief flooding her young face. Jack scoffed, recovering his arrogance. Well, well, the celebrity makes an appearance. What's this, Emily? Your knight in shining armor?" Adrian's gaze snapped to him, sharp as steel. "Is this the man who laid hands on his own daughter?" His voice carried across the courtyard, firm enough for everyone to hear. A ripple went through the crowd. Parents shifted uncomfortably. Students exchanged wide-eyed looks. Jack's jaw tightened. "Watch your mouth. You don't know anything about me." "Oh, I know enough," Adrian shot back, rising to his full height. He towered over Jack, not just in size but in presence. "I saw what you tried to do on Maple Street. I saw the SUV. That wasn't an accident. That was attempted murder." Gasps echoed. Chloe lowered her phone, her smirk faltering. Emily's heart raced for a new reason. Someone was finally speaking the truth out loud. Jack sneered, trying to cover his unease. "You can't prove anything." "Maybe not yet," Adrian said, his voice calm but deadly serious. "But I have resources, connections, and I promise you this, Jack, you will not touch Emily or Lily again. Not while I'm here." The weight of his words landed like a punch. For the first time, Jack's confidence flickered. Emily leaned weakly against Adrian, her body trembling. She whispered, "Why are you doing this?" He looked at her with steady eyes. "Because no one should fight monsters alone, and because you deserve better than living in fear." The school principal finally rushed forward, breaking the tension. "Mr. Morgan, you need to leave. Now, this is not the place for your theatrics." Jack clenched his fists, glaring at Adrian. But with dozens of eyes on him and his carefully constructed image at risk, he forced a smile. "Fine, enjoy your moment, Emily. It won't last." He turned sharply, Chloe trailing behind him, her camera still recording though her hands shook. Silence lingered in the courtyard. Then, slowly, parents began murmuring, some supportive, others uncertain. But the shift had begun. Someone had stood up to Jack. Adrian helped Emily to her feet, steadying her as though she weighed nothing. Lily clung to her mother's side, whispering, "He's not going to hurt us anymore, right?" Emily looked at Adrian, searching his face for an answer she desperately needed. Adrian met her gaze and nodded firmly. "Not if I have anything to say about it." But what none of them knew was that Jack's humiliation today would ignite a fury more dangerous than ever before, and he was already plotting his next move. 2 weeks after the confrontation at Lily's school, Emily still felt the echoes of shame whenever she walked into public spaces. The memory of collapsing in front of everyone haunted her nights, while Jack's threats lingered like smoke in her lungs. But something else lingered too. Adrian Cole's words, his steady presence, the way he had stood between her and Jack without hesitation. So when Adrian called with an unexpected invitation, Emily almost said no. "There's a charity gala this Friday," his voice carried warmth through the phone. "I'd like you to come as my guest." Emily's heart stuttered. A gala? She pictured glittering gowns, chandeliers, cameras flashing, a world so far from her modest rental house and her worn-out cardigans. She almost laughed. "Adrian, I don't belong in places like that." "Emily," he interrupted gently, "you belong anywhere I stand. Let me show you." The certainty in his tone shook something loose inside her. Against all logic, she said yes. Friday evening, Lily helped her mother prepare. For the first time in years, Emily allowed herself to wear makeup, her trembling hands guided by her daughter's laughter. They zipped up a simple but elegant navy blue gown Adrian had sent earlier that day, and when Emily turned toward the mirror, she hardly recognized herself. "You look like a queen," Lily whispered, eyes shining. Emily's throat tightened. She bent down and kissed her daughter's forehead. "I just hope I don't embarrass myself." When Adrian arrived, dressed in a tailored black suit, he paused at the sight of her. His gaze softened, a rare vulnerability breaking through his usual composure. "Emily, you're breathtaking." Heat rushed to her cheeks. She lowered her eyes, but for the first time in a long while she felt something unfamiliar. Confidence. The gala was held in a grand downtown ballroom, chandeliers glittering like stars, a red carpet unfurled across marble floors. Photographers snapped pictures of celebrities and CEOs as they entered. And then Adrian Cole walked in with Emily Carter on his arm. Whispers rippled instantly. Reporters leaned forward. "Who is she? Is that his date? She's beautiful, so elegant." Emily's pulse thundered in her ears, but Adrian's steady hand at her back anchored her. He introduced her to investors, athletes, even a senator, and each time he said her name with pride. "This is Emily Carter." For once, Emily wasn't invisible. She wasn't the trembling ex-wife, the struggling single mother. Tonight, she was someone worth noticing. But across the ballroom, another pair of eyes burned with fury. Jack Morgan. He hadn't been invited, he never was, but he had found his way in. Dressed in his sharpest suit, Chloe clinging to his arm, he looked every bit the polished businessman. But the mask cracked the moment he saw Emily, his ex-wife, radiant, standing beside Adrian Cole like she belonged there. Jack's jaw tightened, his hand clenching around his glass. Chloe whispered something in his ear, but he barely heard. All he saw was Emily, smiling, glowing, lifted out of the ashes he had left her in. And in that moment, rage consumed him. Emily felt the air shift. She turned, and her eyes locked on Jack's across the room. Her stomach dropped, fear flooding back. But this time, she wasn't alone. Adrian leaned down, his voice steady in her ear. "Don't let him steal this moment. Tonight you walk with me, and nothing can touch you." Emily lifted her chin, forcing her shoulders back. For the first time she faced Jack not as his victim, but as a woman standing tall beside a man who could not be broken. But Jack wasn't here to watch. He was here to strike, and the night was about to explode in ways Emily could never have imagined. The gala sparkled with elegance. glasses clinking, violins playing softly, laughter spilling across the ballroom. Emily had almost begun to relax. Adrian stayed close, introducing her to people she never thought she'd meet. For the first time in years, she wasn't surviving, she was living. But Jack Morgan was watching. From the shadows near the bar, his eyes tracked her every move. His grip tightened around his drink until the glass cracked in his hand. Chloe whispered sharply, "Jack, not here. This isn't the place." "Shut up," he snarled, tossing the shards onto the counter. "She thinks she's better than me," parading around with him. Fueled by whiskey and rage, Jack stormed across the ballroom. Conversation stuttered to a halt as his presence cut through the glittering atmosphere. He stopped only feet from Emily and Adrian, his voice slicing through the music. "Well, well, Emily Carter, from a rundown rental house to a red carpet. Must be nice having a billionaire sugar daddy." Gasps rippled. Emily froze, heat rushing to her cheeks. Adrian stepped forward immediately, his body blocking Jack's advance. "Leave. Now," Adrian said, his voice low, dangerous. Jack smirked, raising his voice so everyone could hear. "What's the matter, Cole? Scared the truth might slip out? This woman isn't who you think she is. She's sick, weak, collapsed in front of her daughter. You're protecting a fraud." The crowd murmured, reporters lifting their cameras, hungry for scandal. Emily's chest constricted, shame clawing at her. But Adrian's hand brushed against hers, steady, grounding. He turned back to Jack, his jaw tight. "The only fraud I see is a man who abandoned his wife and child," Adrian said. His words landed like a punch. "And now comes crawling back, not for love, but for control." Applause broke out from a few bold guests. Jack's face darkened, fury twisting his features. "You don't know anything about me," he hissed. "I know enough," Adrian shot back. "I know you put your hands around your daughter's neck. I know you tried to run them off the road, and I know you'll do it again if someone doesn't stop you." Silence fell, heavy and electric. Chloe lowered her phone, suddenly nervous. Jack's mask shattered. He lunged forward, pointing a finger at Emily. "You think he can save you? You think any of these people care? You're nothing without me. Nothing." Emily flinched, every muscle screaming to shrink away. But then she heard Adrian's voice again, calm but firm. "Look around, Emily," he said softly. "Do you see it? He doesn't have power here. You do." Emily lifted her eyes. Dozens of faces were watching, not with pity, but with horror at Jack's outburst. For once, people saw him for what he truly was. Jack noticed too. His chest heaved, sweat glistening on his brow. His perfect image was slipping through his fingers. Chloe tugged his sleeve. "Jack, stop, you're making it worse." But Jack shoved her away, rage boiling over. He grabbed a glass from a nearby table and hurled it against the wall, shards exploding across marble. Screams erupted. Security rushed forward. Adrian moved first, stepping between Emily and the chaos. "That's enough," he barked. Two guards seized Jack's arms, dragging him backward as he fought against them. His voice carried across the ballroom, wild and venomous. "This isn't over. She's mine. She'll always be mine." Emily clutched Adrian's hand, her heart racing. The glittering ballroom felt like a battlefield, the eyes of the world on her. And as Jack was hauled away, Emily knew the war had only just begun, because desperate men always come back more dangerous than before. The gala had ended in chaos. Guests left whispering about Jack Morgan's meltdown, headlines already flooding social media. Ex-husband causes scene at charity gala. Adrian Cole defends mystery woman. But behind the scenes, another drama was unfolding. Chloe Sanders sat alone in her apartment, glass of wine trembling in her hand. She had replayed the night over and over, the way Jack screamed, the glass shattering, the humiliation of being shoved in front of dozens of witnesses. For years, she had tolerated his temper. She told herself it was worth it, the luxury, the gifts, the status of being with a man who commanded fear. But now she saw what Emily had endured, and the truth burned like acid. Jack wasn't powerful, he was unraveling. Her phone buzzed. A message from Jack. "Get ready. We strike back tomorrow. No excuses." Chloe stared at the words, bile rising in her throat. She thought of the way he had grabbed her wrist last week, the bruises still faintly visible under her bracelet. She thought of his laugh when she begged him to stop drinking. And she thought of Emily, trembling but still standing, protected now by a man who actually seemed to care. For the first time, Chloe wondered if she was on the wrong side. The next day she made a decision. She drove to a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town where Adrian and Emily were meeting privately with a lawyer to discuss custody. When Chloe walked in, Emily's face paled instantly. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, clutching Lily protectively. Chloe raised her hands, her voice shaking. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to help." Adrian's eyes narrowed, his body tense. "Why should we believe anything you say?" Chloe swallowed hard, setting her phone on the table. "Because I have proof. Proof that Jack has been lying, that he's been involved in things far worse than anyone knows. And if you want to protect Lily, you need me." Emily's breath caught. "Why now? After everything you've done to us?" Tears welled in Chloe's eyes, surprising even herself. "Because I was stupid. I thought Jack loved me. I thought I mattered. But I'm just another pawn. Last night when he shoved me in front of everyone, I realized I'm disposable to him, just like you were." Adrian studied her carefully. "What kind of proof?" Chloe unlocked her phone and slid it across the table. "Recordings, texts, financial documents. Jack's deals aren't just shady, they're criminal. Money laundering, loan sharks, even ties to organized crime. If the court sees this, he won't just lose custody, he'll go to prison." Emily stared at the screen, her hands trembling. Could it be true? Could the man who had tormented her for 12 years finally be brought down? Not by her, but by the very woman who once stood at his side. Lily leaned closer, whispering, "Mom, maybe she's telling the truth." Adrian exhaled slowly, leaning back. "If what you're saying is real, this changes everything. But understand, if you're lying, if this is another game, I'll make sure Jack isn't the only one who falls." Chloe met his eyes, her voice steady for the first time. "I'm not lying. I want out, and I want him to pay." Silence hung heavy around the table. Emily's heart pounded, torn between distrust and hope. Could Chloe really be the key to ending Jack's reign of terror? What none of them knew was that Jack already suspected betrayal, and Chloe's choice might cost her far more than she ever imagined. Chloe Sanders had never felt fear like this. After leaving the cafe, she drove home with her hands trembling on the wheel. Every streetlight seemed brighter, every shadow darker, as if the world itself knew what she had done. She had crossed Jack Morgan, and there was no going back. Inside her apartment, she double-checked the locks and poured herself another glass of wine. She tried to calm her racing heart. "Adrian will protect me now. Emily will. I did the right thing." But deep down she knew. Jack always found out. Hours later, as night swallowed the city, Chloe's phone buzzed. A text. "We need to talk. Now, come outside." Her blood froze. "Jack," she typed quickly, "leave me alone. It's over." Then she tossed the phone on the counter and tried to steady her breath. But the pounding on her door came seconds later, loud enough to rattle the frame. "Chloe." Jack's voice was sharp, slurred with whiskey but still terrifying. "Open this damn door." She backed away, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Should she call Adrian? The police? Before she could decide, the lock snapped. Jack kicked the door open, fury blazing in his eyes. He stormed inside, slamming the door shut behind him. "You think I wouldn't find out? You think I don't know where you've been?" Chloe's legs nearly gave out. "Jack, please. I had to. I can't do this anymore. You're destroying everything. Shut up!" He backhanded the wine glass from her hand, shards scattering across the floor. His face twisted with rage. "You betrayed me. After everything I gave you, after everything I let you have, you stabbed me in the back." Tears blurred Chloe's vision. "I loved you, Jack, but you don't love anyone. You use people. You hurt them. You hurt me." Jack grabbed her by the shoulders, shoving her against the wall so hard the frame rattled. "You think Adrian Cole is going to save you? That washed-up fighter can't protect you from me. No one can." Chloe whimpered, her breath coming in shallow gasps. For the first time, she realized Emily's warnings had been true all along. "Jack, listen, please. I didn't give them everything. I swear. He tightened his grip, his eyes wild. "Don't lie to me." Her chest ached as panic set in. "I still have the files, the recordings. If you let me go, I'll—" Jack's face twisted into a cruel smile. "Exactly. You still have them. Which means you're a liability." And then, without warning, he shoved her onto the ground. She hit hard, pain shooting through her ribs. Before she could crawl away, Jack pulled a knife from his jacket, the blade catching the dim light. Chloe's scream tore through the apartment walls. "Help! Somebody help me!" But the building was old. the neighbors long since used to ignoring the chaos that spilled from her unit. Jack loomed over her, the knife steady in his hand. "You wanted to play against me? You wanted to side with Emily? Then you'll learn what happens to traitors." Chloe's sobs echoed, her body trembling uncontrollably as the blade lowered. And in that breathless moment, Chloe realized she might not live long enough to see whether Emily or Adrian could truly save her. The knife glinted in Jack's hand, hovering inches above Chloe's trembling chest. Her screams had already faded into desperate sobs. She could smell the whiskey on his breath, feel the heat of his rage pressing down on her. Jack sneered, lowering the blade. "This is what betrayal costs, Chloe. You should have stayed quiet." But before the blade touched skin, the apartment door exploded open with a deafening crash. "Drop it." Adrian Cole stood in the doorway, shoulders broad, fists clenched, his presence filling the room like a storm. Behind him, Emily hovered, pale with fear, clutching her phone. She had called Adrian the second Chloe failed to show up to their follow-up meeting. Jack froze, his knife still poised. His eyes darted to Adrian, then narrowed into a venomous glare. "You don't belong here, Cole. This is between me and her." Adrian stepped forward, his voice low, steady, and commanding. "You're done, Jack. Put the knife down. Now." Jack laughed bitterly, the sound unhinged. "Or what? You'll hit me? You think because you were some cage fighter that makes you untouchable? This is my world, my rules." Adrian's eyes didn't leave him. "No, Jack, not anymore." Chloe whimpered, tears streaking her face. "Adrian, please." Jack pressed the blade closer to her throat, just enough to draw a thin line of blood. Emily gasped, covering her mouth. "Stay back," Jack hissed, "or she dies." The room was silent, except for Chloe's ragged breathing. Adrian's muscles tensed, every instinct screaming to charge forward, but he couldn't risk Chloe's life. He raised his hand slightly, showing control. "You don't want to do this," Adrian said evenly. "You think killing her will scare Emily into submission? No, it will bury you. You're already hanging by a thread, Jack. Everyone saw what you did at the gala. People are talking. The walls are closing in. Do this, and there's no coming back." For a flicker of a second, doubt crossed Jack's face, but pride drowned it out. He snarled, pressing the knife harder. "Better to burn it all down than let you take what's mine." Adrian moved then, quick as lightning. With a fighter's precision, he lunged forward, seizing Jack's wrist. The knife clattered to the floor as the two men grappled. Jack swung wildly, fueled by rage, but Adrian absorbed the blows, his fists landing with brutal accuracy. Chloe scrambled across the floor, gasping for air, clutching her bleeding shoulder. Emily rushed to her side, helping her up. The fight raged, glass shattering, furniture overturning. Jack, though drunk and sloppy, fought like a cornered animal. He slammed Adrian against the wall, spitting curses. But Adrian's training, his years of discipline, gave him the edge. With one final strike, Adrian drove his fist into Jack's jaw. The man crumpled to the floor, blood dripping from his lip, his chest heaving. Emily clutched Lily's old friend Chloe tighter, her voice shaking. "Is it over?" Adrian stood over Jack, chest rising and falling, fist still clenched. His voice was ice. "No, this is just the beginning. The courts, the press, they'll know everything. He doesn't get to hide anymore." Jack groaned, trying to push himself up, his eyes filled with hate. "You think you've won? You have no idea what's coming." Adrian didn't flinch. "Then bring it." But as sirens wailed in the distance, none of them realized Jack's allies in the criminal underworld had already been set in motion, and Emily's family was still far from safe. The police had hauled Jack away in handcuffs, but Emily couldn't shake the unease that lingered in her chest. He had looked at her as they dragged him out, a twisted grin splitting his bruised face. It wasn't defeat, it was a promise. Adrian tried to reassure her. "He's in custody, you and Lily are safe now." But Emily knew better. Jack's power didn't come just from his fists. It came from the men he owed favors to, the ones who thrived in the shadows. And men like that didn't disappear with a jail cell. That night, Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Every creak of the old house made her flinch. Lily slept soundly beside her, but Emily's mind ran wild with what-ifs. What if Jack had already set something in motion? What if the next attack came when she least expected it? She got her answer sooner than she feared. 3 nights later, Emily and Lily walked out of the grocery store, their arms full of bags. The parking lot was dim, a few flickering lights struggling against the darkness. Adrian was supposed to meet them, but he was running late. As they approached the car, a black van screeched around the corner, headlights blinding. Emily froze. The van door slid open, and two men in masks leapt out. "Get in the car," one barked, grabbing Emily's arm. The groceries tumbled to the ground, apples rolling across the asphalt. Lily screamed. "Mom?" Emily fought wildly, kicking and clawing, but the man's grip was iron. The second man lunged for Lily, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Help! Somebody help us!" Emily's voice tore through the night, but the parking lot was empty. Her heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst. She sank her teeth into the man's hand, earning a grunt of pain. He shoved her against the car, the impact knocking the wind from her lungs. "Move again and she's dead," the second man growled, pressing a knife against Lily's throat. Emily's knees gave out. "Please don't hurt her. I'll do anything." The men forced them toward the van. Emily's mind spiraled. This was it. Jack's allies. He had planned this all along. And then, out of the darkness, a voice roared. "Let them go." Adrian. He sprinted across the lot, his fists clenched, eyes blazing. The men cursed, dragging Emily and Lily closer to the van. "Back off, Cole. This isn't your fight." Adrian slowed, his muscles coiled tight. "Everything that touches them is my fight." In a flash, he struck. His fist connected with the first man's jaw, sending him sprawling. Emily seized the chance to shove Lily behind her, shielding her body. The second man lunged, knife flashing. Adrian dodged, twisting his arm until the blade clattered to the ground. He slammed the man against the van, the thud echoing. But before he could finish, the driver gunned the engine, the van lurching forward. The masked men scrambled back inside, one clutching his broken jaw. The van peeled out, tires screeching, leaving Emily trembling in Adrian's arms. Lily clung to her mother, sobbing. "Mom, I thought, we almost..." Emily kissed her hair, whispering, "It's okay, baby, you're safe. You're safe." But Adrian's face was grim. "This was just a message," he said darkly. "Jack may be in custody, but his reach is long. And until we cut off every last tie, he won't stop." Emily shuddered, the night air biting against her skin. For the first time, she realized they weren't just fighting Jack. They were fighting an entire world he had dragged them into. And that world was ready to strike again, harder, darker, and far deadlier. The courthouse loomed like a fortress, its gray stone walls heavy with judgment. Emily clutched Lily's hand as they walked inside, her heart pounding harder than it had the night of the SUV attack. This wasn't just another fight. This was the fight. Custody. The future of her daughter. Adrian walked beside them, his presence a steady anchor. Chloe followed close behind, sunglasses covering the bruise Jack had left. She carried a folder thick with documents, her expression tense but determined. Inside the courtroom, Jack sat at the plaintiff's table in a pristine suit, looking every bit the respectable businessman. His lawyer, a shark in an expensive tie, whispered strategy in his ear. Jack smirked when his eyes met Emily's, mouthing the words, "You've already lost." Emily sat down, trying to steady her breathing. Her lawyer, appointed last minute by Adrian's connections, gave her a reassuring nod. But nothing could quiet the storm in her chest. The judge entered, and the proceedings began. Jack's lawyer moved first, painting Emily as unstable. "Your Honor, this woman has collapsed multiple times in public. She has a documented heart condition. We have video evidence of her screaming at my client's partner, and witnesses who can attest that her daughter lives in constant fear." "Is this truly the environment for a child?" Whispers spread through the courtroom. Emily's cheeks burned. Lily squeezed her hand tighter, whispering, "Don't cry, Mom. Please don't cry." Then it was their turn. Emily's lawyer rose, calm but firm. "Your Honor, this case is not about a mother's medical history. It's about abuse, neglect, control. Jack Morgan is not the hero he pretends to be. He is a danger to his daughter." Jack scoffed loudly, shaking his head, but the judge silenced him with a glare. The lawyer gestured toward Chloe. "We have a witness prepared to testify." Gasps rippled as Chloe removed her sunglasses and stepped forward. Her voice trembled at first, but steadied as she recounted everything. The bruises, the threats, the financial crimes. She handed over her phone, filled with recordings and text messages. The judge listened intently, brows furrowing deeper with every word. Then came the bombshell. One of the recordings played aloud. Jack's voice, drunken and furious. She's mine. I'll choke the life out of anyone who gets in my way, even my own daughter if I have to. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, murmurs, even shouts. The judge slammed his gavel, demanding silence. Emily sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. Lily buried her head in her mother's shoulder, sobbing quietly. Adrian's jaw clenched as he watched Jack squirm. For once, the mask had cracked in front of the world. But Jack wasn't done. He stood suddenly, slamming his hands on the table. "This is a setup. She's lying. They're all lying." His voice shook the walls, his composure shattering. "I'm her father. She belongs to me." The judge's gavel slammed again. "Mr. Morgan, sit down or you'll be removed from this courtroom." Jack's lawyer tugged at his sleeve desperately, but Jack jerked away, his eyes burning with rage. Emily's lawyer leaned in, whispering, "We've got him. He's losing control." Emily clutched Lily tighter, hope sparking for the first time. Maybe, just maybe, the truth would finally win. But then, as the judge prepared to deliver his ruling, a bailiff hurried to the bench, whispering something urgent in the judge's ear. The judge's face darkened. "Ladies and gentlemen," the judge said gravely, "new evidence has just been submitted. This case is far from over." And Emily's fragile hope shattered, because whatever Jack's allies had delivered might undo everything they had fought for. The courtroom was silent, every eye fixed on the judge. Emily's heart thudded painfully, fear clawing back as she clutched Lily's trembling hand. The judge cleared his throat. "Mr. Morgan's legal team has submitted last-minute financial documents alleging that Miss Carter is bankrupt, unfit to provide stability. At first glance, these could sway custody." Emily's stomach dropped. Adrian leaned forward, whispering, "Stay calm. We're ready for this." Her lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we expected such tactics. May we present Exhibit D?" The judge nodded. Chloe stepped forward, her hands shaking but her voice steady. "Those documents Jack submitted are forgeries. I know because I watched him pay to have them created. And I have the receipts, bank transfers, to the man who made them." Gasps erupted. The judge inspected the papers Chloe handed over, his face hardening. But Chloe wasn't finished. She pressed play on one last recording. Jack's voice filled the courtroom, dripping with malice. "The judge doesn't care about the truth. Money talks. Emily's weak, and when I take Lily, she'll crawl back to me like she always should have." The words hung heavy in the air. Jack shot to his feet, face crimson. "That recording is fake. She's lying. They're all lying." The judge slammed his gavel. "Enough, Mr. Morgan." But Jack couldn't stop. His rage boiled over. He pointed at Emily, spittle flying. "You think you've won? You think this clown," he jabbed a finger at Adrian, "can protect you? You're mine, Emily. You'll always be mine." The courtroom erupted in chaos. Bailiffs rushed forward. Emily shielded Lily as Jack lunged, but Adrian intercepted him, his body a wall of unshakable strength. With one swift move, Adrian shoved Jack back into the arms of the bailiffs, who wrestled him to the ground. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. "Order! Order!" Finally, silence. The judge's voice rang clear. "I've heard enough. The evidence against Mr. Morgan is overwhelming. His threats, his violence, his criminal ties. Custody is hereby granted to Miss Emily Carter. Effective immediately, Mr. Morgan is stripped of parental rights." Tears blurred Emily's vision. She pulled Lily into her arms, holding her close as sobs of relief shook her body. But the judge wasn't done. Furthermore, given the evidence of fraud, forgery, and threats, Mr. Morgan will be remanded to federal custody pending criminal charges. He will not walk free today. Jack roared, struggling against the bailiffs as they dragged him away. His voice echoed through the chamber. "This isn't the end, Emily. You'll regret this." But for the first time his words carried no power. Emily buried her face in Lily's hair, whispering, "It's over, baby. It's finally over." When she lifted her gaze, Adrian was watching her. His eyes, so steady and strong, softened with pride. He reached out, brushing her trembling hand with his. "You fought harder than anyone I've ever seen," he said quietly. "You won this, Emily. You saved her." Emily shook her head, tears streaming. "I couldn't have done it alone. Thank you for standing by us." Adrian smiled faintly. "You'll never be alone again." Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. But this time, Emily didn't shrink from the light. She stood taller, Lily's hand in hers, Adrian at her side. Reporters shouted questions. Emily ignored them all, focused only on the warmth of her daughter's fingers wrapped tightly around her own. For 12 long years, she had lived in fear. But today, she walked into freedom. And as Jack Morgan disappeared behind prison bars, Emily Carter finally stepped into the life she and Lily deserved, safe, loved, and unbreakable. So the story has come to an end. And my dear friends, you're still here with me, right? If you've stayed until now, that means something in this journey touched your heart in its own way. Maybe it reminded you of a time you felt powerless, or maybe it gave you hope that even in darkness, light can break through. Life is rarely fair. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Emily's story showed us that she couldn't control Jack's cruelty, but she chose courage, love, and resilience. And that choice changed everything. Perhaps you too carry scars, betrayals, losses, moments where you thought you wouldn't survive. But like Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. What breaks us can also build us if we refuse to give up. So if you're here, let this be a reminder. You are stronger than you know, and healing is always possible. If this story touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to join our growing family, because together we rise.